Okay, I think we should start now. Firstly, I would like to welcome you all and thank everyone for attending, especially at such difficult times. I know you are all terribly busy and it is difficult to take time away from your daily tasks for meetings. I would like to take a moment to introduce our new speaker. Hence, like in the last session that we had various speakers. We had various speakers, but today we're only gonna have one speaker. And then in particular, this meeting was actually influenced by the session we had last week, Wednesday, where some of the questions were not fully addressed, especially with regard to one of being in academia. So today with our guest, she will be able to take us through how it is to be in academia, especially when you initially started with practicing in particular. So without wasting of time, I would like to welcome our guest speaker, Ms. Mokoena. Everyone welcome Ms. Mokoena. Ms. Mokoena, over to you.
Oh yeah, you can hear me. Sorry, firstly, I just want to apologize because at 6 o'clock.
LLM is a master's.
That's fine.
Can you hear me?
Can you host? Can you?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Can you tell everyone to mute?
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Mute.
Okay, but so I'm assuming that you're going to ask me some questions or lead me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay. Guys, can you mute yourselves, please? Because we can hear everything that's happening in your rooms. Thank you. Silence. Okay, I think you can take over for me, host, and I think I assume you're wanting to lead the discussion.
So last week we had a session, and then the session was quite very productive. However, some of the questions were not answered. And then in that fashion, I was hoping today if you can take us through an experience of you being a student afterwards, saving your articles, going into practice, and then going back to being an academia. How is the experience?
Okay, if I can just sort of broadly speak about how my career went.
Yes.
I studied at Vic and I did a BA law. So I did the 2 degrees instead of 1. And then after I finished my LLB, well, I finished my BA, of course, and then I finished my LLB. And after finishing my LLB, I was very blessed to get an opportunity to clerk at the Constitutional Court, where I worked for Judge Kate O'Regan and later the current Chief Justice Mokoena, and really, really made great connections with a lot of the judges who were working there at the time. So I clerked for a year and then I went back to WITS to do my LLM. I did a master's in media law and IP, nothing to do with my current speciality. So if you think you like something now, don't be discouraged if you end up hating it. so it's very different from my current speciality. And then after I did my master's, I got articles at a law firm called Cheadle, Thompson and Haysom. And let me just say, like at this point in my I think this was when I was doing my master's full time. I think that's when I started to think, actually, academic lifestyle might be nice, you know? But when I was doing an LLB, all of my lecturers were like mostly old white people. So I really didn't see a possibility of me entering into that space at all. I didn't see it as something that I could do. I thought it was like very fancy old people. So I didn't see myself doing that kind of thing. And then after that, I did my master's full time, and then at Cheadle's. And then at Cheadle is where I started getting interested in labor law. Oh yeah, I'm using my phone flashlight, and this is much better. there I am, guys. So at Cheadle is where I got bitten by the labor law bug. When I got there, I really didn't want to do labor. I was like, guys, this is so boring. It's the worst. I don't like it. I wanted to do media because that's what my master's was in. So they forced me into the labor practice, and that was to my benefit because I ended up loving labor law so much. Practiced labor law, well, I did my articles, and then I did 2 years as an associate, and I was really unhappy at the end. I thought, I'm supposed to be enjoying this attorney thing. I'm an attorney now. I'm this fancy person that I always wanted to be, and I hate it. So what is wrong with me? So I really didn't know like what to do for a long time because I didn't know what was next. I'm an attorney now. Isn't this the dream, you know? But I hated it every day. I was like, this is the pits. This is not for me. But I knew that I still enjoyed law. At the time, I also had started my nonprofit organization, Spread Love. And Spread Love works specifically with high school learners, young people. And that was something that I also really enjoyed, working with young people. So I started to sort of put my head together and think, what could I possibly do that would involve working with young people and law? And then somebody suggested that I apply to UJ, and I did, and I got it. And it is the best decision I've ever made, I guess. That's probably the long and short of how I became an academic. I suppose for what you guys need to know is sort of the how, whether you have to start in practice or you don't have to start in practice, or where you have to begin. So there's no one answer. So a lot of, I'm sure you guys know Louis Kuhn, then there's also Katleho Letsiri. Those are both currently assistant lecturers in the faculty, okay? So they both became assistant lecturers with only their LLB degrees. They did not have master's degrees. When you don't have a master's degree, you start at assistant lecturer level, right? And then once you get your master's degree, there's a possibility of you being promoted to lecturer so then it goes with teaching experience. So once you've got your master's degree, the longer you teach, the more experience you get, the more possible it is to be promoted to a lecturer. If you're coming from practice and you already have an LLM, that's how I've started right away in lecturer position as opposed to going to assistant lecturer, because I already had a lot of experience working and I already had a master's degree. So that's how I got into that position without having to the first step. I hope I'm not just rambling. You must stop me if there's questions. But then the other alternative is for you to go and do your articles or do an internship. A lot of people want to go out into the world and experience law in a sort of meaningful way. I like the idea of anyway, so I like the idea of going into practice or into the world of work first, if you can, but it's not a prerequisite. I mean, the two assistant lecturers that I told you about are excellent, very gifted academics. So it depends on you as an individual. I like the idea that when I teach, I am able to bring in real practice experience into the classroom and explain to you how things work in the real world, because I know. But a lot of people are very gifted teachers and academics and researchers without having gone to the practical world of work. I think I'll pause there. Perhaps there is a question or questions.
No, there's actually no question at the moment.
Okay, do you have a question?
No question at the moment.
Okay, so what I'm saying, so then the way it works every day, okay, I can tell you the cool things about being an academic and the things that suck. So the coolest thing about being an academic is flexibility of time. So one thing I've learned growing up, I think, and maybe you guys will sort of get there as you get older, but you'll see how you choose your careers. To me, it's not worth it. Like, you'll see what drives you in life. So for me, I don't, I like money, okay, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my mental health and my overall well-being just to make way more money. I'd rather make a little bit less and be overall happier personally. And I find that a lot of lawyers think like that. So I'm not the type of, I don't like being at the office. I don't like a 9 to 5 operation. I don't like being managed or micromanaged. I have a boss at the faculty, Professor Fari. She's Professor Fari now, by the way. Professor Fari is my HOD, and she's very good at not micromanaging us and just sort of guiding us through our work. So she doesn't like phone me every day and ask me where I am and check what I'm doing. And, she doesn't do that. And that's the type of working environment that I love, to have flexibility of my own time and be able to enjoy different endeavors in life without having to only be at the office. I think being at the office for 8 hours a day is really stupid and a waste of your life. So I don't like that kind of thing, that kind of job. That's why practice was not for me. I see a question that says, what is the difference between BA in law and LLB? I'm going to come to you. Let me just finish my thought, Bianca. So what I'm saying is, I like flexibility of time. I really value flexibility of time. So that's one of the perks of being an academic. But that it's also a gift and a curse, because if you have flexible time, you really have to be self-disciplined and you really have to manage yourself extremely well. Otherwise, you will fall behind on your tasks, because there's nobody who's like, hey, have you done this? Hey, what's happening with this? Nobody will do that. If you're an academic, you mess up alone. Portia, your mic is on. Portia Mabope, your mic is on. So anyway, let me get to this question. And hi, Leletu. So Bianca's question is the difference between BA law and LLB. So a BA law is a BA degree with law subjects, law modules. So you're doing a normal BA, and then you add law modules, the early law modules, into your BA, right? So you'll have another major. Mine was politics. I did politics and law. So I did political science modules and law modules, right? So in theory, at the end of your BA law, you can actually stop with law. You don't have to keep doing law. You don't have to go and do the rest of the law degree. So I'm gonna come to you, Lilith. So you don't have to what was I saying? You don't have to finish an LLB, but if you want to be an attorney or an advocate or work in this profession, you've got to do your BA for that 3 years, and then you've got to do that last 2 years of only law, LLB, to complete. So that's really the difference. It's 2 very different degrees. You just choose to carry on with and finish your law degree after completing your BA. I hope I've answered your question. The letter says, you spoke about the way you were unhappy doing articles. So how does one make the most of the rotations been placed on, even if they don't like it? How did you cope? You just do it, hey? Like, honestly, I don't want to sugarcoat it. Articles is really tough, but it is an excellent learning experience. I mean, becoming a lawyer, and it's not going to be pap and place. It's going to be tough most of the time. The best way the best thing you can do in your rotation is to ask a million questions and to work damn hard. I saw it as a period of time where, I mean, to be honest, I didn't totally not enjoy articles. I didn't enjoy being an associate, because I think that's when I realized, like, this is what I do all the time. I felt like I was gonna be more admitted. And then I was like, this whole thing. So I didn't like it. And I don't like, personally, I don't like my time being so closely connected to money. So that's another thing that I didn't like, billing, like sitting down and being like 2 minutes, I must bill a client for 2 minutes. That was a little bit weird for me. But to get through your articles, you just buckle down, hey? One thing that I can advise, even from your law, from when you're now studying law, you've got to learn healthy coping mechanisms. So I definitely think a thing that lawyers do is just drink alcohol and sometimes take drugs to just cope. And that's a really not a good habit. Some of you are already doing it as we sit here. So I urge you to find alternative coping mechanisms whilst you're still young. That could be in the form of whether you go to church, whether you exercise, you do yoga, knit, I don't know, read books, whatever you need to do to get through your articles, play a sport, whatever it is that will help you keep up yourself, because that's the most important thing. How do you feel every day? Not just finishing your articles, but that being said, you need to balance that with the reality that it's not going to be pleasant all the time. And nothing about life is always lekker, like nothing about life is always good. So you need to be sort of a grown up about it and realize that some of it is going to be hard and suck, really, really suck. So let me get back to the questions. Oh my gosh, what is happening? Just give me a second and while I kind of go off lights so that I can see the questions. Load shedding, man. Yarra. Struggling here. Okay. When is a good time to start applying for articles? Okay, so it depends on where you're applying. The big firms, like they get people from like second year, end of second year. So from your first year and your second year, you should be really applying for VAC work. With the big firms, you need to apply for their VAC work from like the end of your first year. And then, after you've done VAC work, maybe the end of second year, start to look for articles. But look, realistically, there's only 5 big law firms, big law firms. The guys in Santon, like 10% of you guys are going to end up working there. So there's lots and lots and lots of other firms that hire in your final year. But if I were you, I would just start looking probably around third year, the beginning of third year, you should be on the hunt. But articles is not the only thing you can do after school. You can do internships. Lots of the departments in government have internships in their legal departments. Banks have graduate programs. The auditing firms have graduate programs. The big insurance firms have graduate programs where they need lawyers. Those do not contribute towards your articles, but they give you very, very good experience. So you don't have to start your articles right away when you finish. I started my articles when I was 26. I was 2 years out of my LLB. So, and the girl who did articles with me at the same time, she was like 32.
Just like
Elizabeth,
just like
your mic is on. Elizabeth, thank you. So she was like 32, someone I did articles with. So there's no time. You don't have to, you can do a master's, you can go overseas. There's lots of things you can do after you finish school. And I know that that sounds flippant, but there are scholarships and bursaries and all kinds of things you can do to fund whatever cool thing you're interested in doing. You don't have to rush into your articles. Would you recommend for someone to go first to School of Legal Practice and then complete articles? Whatever floats your boat, really. I think it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, I know my partner went to law school and then did his articles for a year. So some people like that the fact that they only have to do their articles for a year, but you also need to fund going to law school and be able to deal with that aspect, that it's another year where you're not going to be earning an income. So it really depends on you and your family and what you guys can cope with. So it doesn't really make a difference, to be honest. A lot of firms don't care that you did a year of law school. They still want you to do two years of articles. So that's another thing. So it just depends on you. It doesn't really make a huge difference. Would you recommend doing a BA first, then LLB? Again, I don't think this makes a huge difference. The thing that I like about the BA is that it's a lot of practice with your writing. And I think a lot of students who do BAs first tend to have a lot of experience in writing because of the BA. I know that it helped me significantly improve my writing skills from matric up into third year because all my BA was essays, you know? But just because you don't have a BA doesn't mean you won't be able to write, but you need to, and I would even advise you guys to think of trying to go the extra mile, write blog posts, write think pieces, opinion pieces. Some of your colleagues in the law school have blogs, have written opinion pieces for the Daily Maverick. People are out here writing. So if I were you, I would practice my writing because it's so hugely important. There's nothing that frustrates me more than having a master's student, for example, who can't write at master's level. It's very upsetting. So if I were you, I would really practice. And one of the big things about practicing writing, guys, is not practicing, but reading. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a whole book. Even if you're reading your favorite magazine or your favorite blog, it's fine. Just read as much as you can read. I mean, for most of us, English is not the first language. So getting used to ordinary English is one thing at varsity level, but then on top of that, you must get used to legal English. So the best thing you can do for yourself is really to read a lot, read as much as you can to get on top of your language skills and your ability to write. Bianca said, explain LLB. I'm not sure what that question means, my sister. Please clarify. What do you mean explain LLB? Kanti, what are you studying? I thought that this is all law students. So, but yeah, LLB is the 4-year law degree. I mean, I think that kind of answers. Guys, I'm trying to keep up with the questions. Difference between attorney and advocate. Guys, okay, attorneys and advocates. And I thought the people would have explained this last week. But the difference between attorneys and advocates, guys, okay, attorneys are really, they compile a case. They compile cases which are then presented in court by the advocate, okay? However, nowadays, a lot of attorneys appear in court themselves. You don't really need to brief an advocate. So attorneys compile the case. They collect witness statements. They collect all the information needed to present the case in court, documents, statements, whatever evidence there might be. And the advocate presents it in court, okay? In practice, attorneys do 2 years of articles and 4 board exams. Advocates do 1 year of pupillage and 4 bar exams, okay? So that's a little bit of the difference. If you are in my class, the first year class, I'm gonna do this with you later in the year, so do not freak out. We're gonna spend a lot of time on it, okay? Late for applying to articles. Does that mean you stand a low chance? Yeah, you can, there's no, I don't know what late means. I mean, lots of people start their articles later than they anticipated, but you can certainly, I mean, if somebody, let's say you don't find something for next year, sometimes people hire in June, mid-year next year. So don't panic, just keep applying. An inquiry regarding forensics. I wanted to give forensics, but I have no background. Well, I don't want to. Hello?
Yes,
Can
we
you hear
can
me?
hear you.
Okay, sorry guys, I just dropped out. Okay, I'm back. But now I seem to have lost, I think I've lost the questions. Let me just see when I expand if I can, yeah. Okay, here we go. What do you do at moot court? Do you give a real case? Can you explain the whole process? So at moot, guys, it's just, it's a mock court. So it's like fake court, they give you fake facts and then you must argue those facts. Mooting is really, really good experience because you've got to write heads of arguments, so it helps you practice your writing. And obviously you then present the case in fake court to fake judges, okay? So it's a very fun thing. The students travel and do cool stuff and they learn a hell of a lot. I find that my mooters very often have really successful careers as they go forward because they've got this amazing skill. So mooting is something that you should definitely think about getting into, especially if you're a good researcher, writer, and speaker. That's who we need. Silas says, good evening. In a case of an advocate who chooses to follow the academic path, i.e. lecture, can he still appear in court? Yes, but there are roles. I'm not sure how the advocate's role works, but with attorneys, we can stay on the practicing role, right? Or you can shift to the non-practicing role and then you don't do any appearances. Like I'm still on the practicing role. I don't really appear, but I stay on it just in case for various reasons. I don't like the idea of being a non-practicing attorney. So you can stay on the role and that is regulated by the Legal Practice Council. Yeah, basically, if you're an academic, it doesn't mean that you're out of it altogether. It's up to you and your employer, because ultimately your employer will dictate how much extra or side work you're allowed to take. I cannot practice without doing articles. That is correct. Practice what without doing articles? You can't practice law without doing your articles. You have to become an attorney or an advocate to practice law. So you must do articles of pupillage. Thanks, Silas. I got your message. When you are to be a lawyer, you choose which aspects of law you want to deal with. So this is a really good question, viewer, because we all have this idea of the type of law we want to practice. But then you get to your firm and they're like, this is what you're going to practice. And we don't really care what you like. so it's difficult because it can sometimes take you time to find your niche. And sometimes you think something is your niche and it's actually not. And then when you get into it, you're like, actually, this is not for me at all. The study of law and the practice of law are so different. Like I was saying to you guys earlier, I hated labor law so much with all my heart, guys, when I was studying, like the absolute pits. And in retrospect, I don't want to diss my lecturers, but I just think that I didn't connect with my with my lecturers at the time. So I really, it was a mess. I hated labor law so much. But in practice, I fell in love with it. I still love labor law. I do all my research in relation to labor law, well, mostly. So the practice of law and the study of law is very different. So what I would say is don't close your mind off to other areas of law, deciding that, okay, I like criminal law or evidence when Prof. de Villiers does it. It's so nice. And then that means you're going to be what, a prosecutor or a criminal lawyer because you love evidence. And maybe that's not what you want to do, you know? So don't close yourself off to different areas of law. Charles, some says we don't really need to apply for back work, but rather we can do door-to-door at different law firms asking for it. Is it really worth it to do that? You can do that. I've never seen anyone do that, but I don't think it's a thing you can't do. But I think that, you know, you look, it's not a bad thing necessarily to work for free, to say, you know, approach a law firm and say, can I just do admin stuff around here for a week or two whilst I'm on VAC? And then, you know, you guys don't have to pay me. Some people do that. You can certainly get articles without ever having done VAC work. It's very possible. I like the idea of VAC work because it also exposes you to areas of law. Like the last question we talked about, different aspects of law. Doing VAC work exposes you to different areas of law early on so that you can start, you know, when you get to do articles, you can say, I want to be in this rotation because you did it when you were in VAC work. So you have a good sense of what it's all about, right? So I like the idea of VAC work if you can get it. Sometimes people get articles without ever having done VAC work. So it just depends on you. Where's the next question? How do you get to be a private lawyer and a government lawyer? So that just depends on what firm you end up being at. But with government, you can go and do your articles at the state attorney's office, for example, and then start straight from there, okay? An alternative thing, however, though, is that there's a lot of government departments who don't necessarily litigate, but they might deal with government contracts and tenders and things like that. And then you have lawyers who work on that, work in those areas and deal with that stuff in that particular government department. And that's a matter of a job application. Doesn't matter where you did articles. Sometimes you might not even need to do articles to have to work in a government department. So it's not necessarily that you have to have done articles. It depends on the job. Usually, guys, the reality is that if you want to work as a lawyer, you ought to do articles or pupillage because SJ, Molebale, your speaker is on. Thank you. So if you want to work in most places, they want you to be admitted, especially as you get higher up. These days, it's becoming a prerequisite to be admitted if you want to like pop off and really be like senior in a particular department. It ain't gonna happen if you haven't been admitted as an attorney or an advocate. So you do need to do those things. All I'm saying is that you don't need to do them immediately. You don't need to do them as soon as you finish law school. You can do a master's, you can do internships, you can do other cool stuff just to expose yourself to different areas of the world so that you know what you want when you end up doing your articles. Lilette said, don't know if this question was answered. What's your take, ma'am, about going into the advocacy route straight after LLB? So it's not a bad thing. It's just tough because you don't earn money. That's the first thing. And the second thing, hey, my computer battery is also going to die at some point. So if I'm like, it's bad, I'm gonna switch off, guys. So if you can do that, but you're not gonna get paid for that year. And then the other thing is, of course, you need to have good connections to get work later on when you actually finish with your pupillage. So most of the time, experienced attorneys will go to the bar after they've worked as attorneys for a few years because they've made connections through like of their inevitable clients, because attorneys become their clients. So a lot of people then don't struggle as much to get work because they know lots of attorneys. But if you're straight from school, it can be tough. It's not impossible. There are people who have done it and they've been successful, but you've just got to know yourself and be prepared for those sacrifices. View it. In-law, if you're very good academically, would like speaking skill, other way around. So if you don't, guys, not every attorney will speak in court or speak. Okay, so you don't have to feel like you have to be this excellent orator to be a lawyer. A lot of people never, ever go to court, complete their law careers, retire and die without ever having appeared in court. So you don't necessarily have to be a very good speaker. But let me just tell you that for any job in corporate South Africa, you need to be able to communicate confidently. That doesn't mean you need to be a public speaker, but there will be times, even as an attorney in a law firm, where you don't appear in court, where you must present a case to a group of people in your firm, present something to client. So if you don't have those skills, you need to take time to learn them. A lot of the time, guys, you can be an introvert, okay? You can be introverted. People don't really believe it, but I'm actually naturally introverted. I'm not actually an extrovert. I like to keep to myself, but I'm confident and I understand where I am talented and I use my talents. So, but you know, on a normal day, I'm very comfortable to sort of be in the house and not see human beings. So you can be an introvert, but you can be confident, you can be good at communicating, and you can know yourself to an extent where you use those skills to succeed. So it is on you. Ultimately, guys, you know, you guys are in law school now, but you've got to grow up fast. It's on you to identify skills that you lack, okay, and work on them. Find a way to work on them. If you know that you're not very good at speaking in front of people, try and apply to be a tutor where you're going to have to interact with strangers every day. Try and get a part-time job in promotions where you have to interact with people every day. and strangers. So yes, View, it has a lot to do with confidence, and that's between you and you. I can't teach you that, but you need to step out of yourself. And the more skilled you become at identifying your strengths and your weaknesses and patching up your weaknesses, the more confident you'll become in yourself. And the easier it will be for you to speak comfortably in any setting. It's not necessarily about court, but it's about being able to communicate. I mean, remember, like most of us, if you think about it, varsity, you probably haven't interacted with a lot of older white people, you know, other than maybe your teachers, a few teachers at school, depending on what kind of school you went to, right? When I started working, I was like, good people are talking to me like I'm an adult, but I'm just a kid. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm not just a kid, I'm well into my 20s. And they are talking to me like I'm an adult because I am an adult. And I had to learn that I'm an adult. That doesn't mean that I'm rude or impolite, or I don't have to be snacks, guys, to command respect. You don't have to be rude to make people respect you. You just need to be kind and polite and confident. But you must also know I'm an adult. I can ask for the things that I want, including extra help or guidance. I can ask for those things. And there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to ask for those things. So a large part of your success during your law degree, doing your articles, what you guys decide to do, a lot of it depends on you figuring yourself out and patching up your weaknesses where you can, working on yourself as much as you can. I'm out of questions. Oh no, what does it actually mean to do articles? Articles are like, it's like an internship, but you shadowing an attorney or practice. You saw lots of attorneys and you're doing legal work. You are going to appear in court, you are serving and filing documents, you are sitting in consultations, you are drafting court papers, you are doing law work, but supervised by a senior director at a law firm. So that's really your articles, and that's 2 years of working for which you are paid. During that time, you do your board exams, the 4 board exams, you attend law school in between, unless you've done the year before. But that is basically what articles comprises of. Then it's another question. Yeah, advocates can't open a law firm. You're going to have to ask the Legal Practice Council why. It's just how it is. Advocates, they don't open law firms. They have chambers. Don't ask me, ask the people. So is it normal to not know what field of law you want to specialize in? It's 100% normal. Like I said, in fact, whatever you think you like now, some of you are like, yes, definitely I want to be this kind of lawyer. In 3-4 years time, you would have changed your mind. So it's totally, totally normal to not know exactly what you want to do. Don't stress, you'll figure it out up ahead. I heard you said a better chance of securing articles, you need to already have a car. So the Legal Practice Council has said that this is unlawful and discriminatory as a practice, that law firms are allowed to ask you if you've got a car, but in practice, I'm pretty sure it still happens. But a lot of firms, look, there are firms that are not gonna care about that. The medium-sized firms and the larger firms, they're not gonna insist that you have a car. It's these smaller firms that do weird stuff like this. So sometimes you must just, and look, a lot of firms are not going to care, and they're going to do the right thing that the Legal Practice Council has said that they must do. But some people are going to be shady ultimately. But hopefully people actually listen to the Legal Practice Council and do the right thing. I'm doing BA in law, but let me say that I would urge you, if you can, to try and get your driver's license as soon as you can get your driver's license, because many firms have cars and they really just want you to have a driver's license so you can use the car. So that's also, and it's just a good thing to have. As soon as you can get it, do your lessons, go and do your driver's test. Doing BA, I was told that LLB focuses a lot on criminal law and BA does not. No, BA in law, Bianca, BA is a BA with law subjects. Criminal law is one of the modules. I'm not sure if you do it in your BA or you do it in LLB. You should contact me directly, because you're getting a lot of things a little bit confused. LLB has a module in criminal law. To complete BA law, you must do criminal law. There's no There's no focus. It's one module. Does the law faculty headhunt junior lecturers? No, you must apply. I headhunt. I never. I wish. So you must apply. And applying for jobs in academia, guys, at UJ, we have a vacancies portal, a jobs portal that you can look at and see if there's jobs available within the university. The other universities, I think, also have vacancies pages. That's where you would look for jobs for assistant lecturers. Oh, this is a nice message. How did I sacrifice time and miss on things? I don't know. I think it's just what I wanted. I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. And I always knew that that was going to take sacrifice. No matter what you want to be, I think there's sacrifice involved. I don't want to say it's just us. So I think that's something you've got to learn about life, that it's not going to be a piece of cake the whole time. My pastor always says life has seasons, and sometimes it's spring and it's summer and it's lovely. Other times it's winter, guys, it's winter. It's not nice, and it's not nice, and you hate every day, and you can't wait for it to be over. I guarantee you by the end of your LLB, you'll be like, I can't wait for this to be over. But ask anybody who's working now, they would love to go back to school, and rather go back to school than be working full time. Hey, work is hard, guys. So I think that it's just really important to come to terms now with the fact that you're gonna make sacrifices. Some of it is gonna be hard, but it's ultimately to your benefit. There's nothing, I can't tell you how nice it is to say I'm an attorney every day. Like as much as like I don't practice, like it feels good knowing that I reached this goal, and it still feels good. And I've been admitted for a long time, and it still feels good to know that I did this and that I'm doing it and that I am this thing that I've always wanted to be. So it was worth everything. I mean, it was worth every part of the road. So I would just say keep pushing. There's another question. Recommend volunteering volunteer. Volunteering in a firm, volunteering at your church, volunteering at a nonprofit. Guys, every little thing you do adds to your CV. So volunteer, offer your services. You can even volunteer with a political party, but that will have its own implications for your application process because people will take a view on your politics. But volunteer your skills, learn stuff, grab learning opportunities with everything you can. One of the reasons that I'm like chronically tired is because it's because I never say no to learning opportunities, even now. So when things come my way and there's an opportunity for me to grow, I grab it. I grab it because I love learning and I love developing myself. And every time I've done that, it's been to my benefit. I am tired most of the time, but I'm not dead. So I feel like it's worth it. And like I said, I'm not a person really who's driven by money. I'm a person who's driven by impact, and joy, and my purpose, the things that I see as part of my purpose. So those are the things that drive me, and I don't really care about anything else. So if something comes my way and it moves me closer to continuously achieving my purpose and continuously making impact and continuously bringing me joy, then I do it, I grab it. So I would say volunteering, working, writing, doing whatever it is you can. If those things bring you closer to you, then that's the vibe. Becoming a tutor. I'm not a tutor, viewer. So I'm very much not a tutor. I like to think I look young, but I'm not a tutor. I'm a lecturer. So I think I've been explaining what it takes to be a lecturer, but to be a tutor, we open up applications in October and yeah, around October, September-ish at the faculty for all the modules. The truth is we want pretty high marks from the tutors. So we expect you to have around a 70% average academically. Those who get shortlisted are usually well-rounded. They move or they do other cool stuff outside of school, whether they're volunteering with their church or they're doing stuff at res or whatever the case may be. Those are usually people who get shortlisted, but I can tell you if your marks are not good, we will not be able to justify shortlisting you. So I can tell you that right now. So push yourselves in terms of your marks, and then you can apply to be a tutor. And that application happens every single year at the same time. Legal advisor, perhaps at a particular office or, yeah, so not necessarily. Book clientele, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I've seen that they do want admitted attorneys. And, hey guys, my battery, if I just disappear, just know that I love you. But yeah, I don't know if they want admitted attorneys, but yeah, I think they do. You're gonna have to look at their job applications yourself. I'm not sure what they would want. Yes, I am an ILS lecturer, yes. So scared I get to somewhere because I feel like there are many people who did law out there and they are not practicing. Yeah, I listen, I cannot guarantee you, even through my advice, that you will not be one of the many law graduates who are unemployed. They are many. I mean, when I went to do my master's full time, you know, I wasn't working, I was doing my master's, and I was just lucky because I had saved money to be able to study. There's no guarantees, but you do the best that you can in terms of getting the best marks that you can. The better marks that you have, the more you can do. Just to grow yourself as an individual and create this full picture. And that is what helps you get hired ultimately in the long run, being more than just a law graduate. Does a career not pay enough money? Yeah. So does it, it does. I mean, look, it depends on where you work. Obviously some firms pay less than other firms just because of their size, but I don't know a lot of people who are employed in this profession who can't support themselves and their families and have reasonable houses and cars. You know, we do okay. We're not stupid rich, all of us. Some of us are really rich. I ain't one of them. So, but some colleagues are really, really loaded. But others not so much, you know, for different. So it just depends on where you. I'm not muted. At least I don't think so. Highlight Concord, blah, blah. Yeah, so the Concord up until March 31st of every year takes applications for clerks. I just applied, and it's one of the reasons why I always say to people, never be afraid to apply, because the year before one of my friends got it and she was like a genius and she had like really high marks. I'm totally not gonna get this job if she got this job. So, because I just had reasonable marks, and then I got hired and I was shocked. It was so great. It's like the best job I've ever had. And you work closely with the judge and you do research for the cases and you give the judge your opinion on each case. You write memos, which are like essays about the case to say to your judge, this is how I think you should decide, which is super cool. And it actually adds to the research of the judgment. So even when we write, like one of the judgments I had a really close hand in writing from then was Mazibuko. It's about water. You can Google it or something. So we do the research, all the cases that the judges use, we find them and basically help these judges put together these judgments. And it's just the most amazing experience. After a year after that, when I was doing my master's, I was called back to come and do research for a retired judge. And it turned out to be the first Chief Justice, Arthur Chaskelson. So that was like amazing. So for like 6 weeks, I worked for him. So yeah, it's just been the best. I mean, just last year, I did this really cool talk with Judge Cameron and another one with Judge Moseneke, and they both remembered me because I worked at the court. So you end up with like the most senior connections in the country, in the profession. And that's really, really awesome. I would definitely recommend doing it. I don't know why I'm your tutor on WhatsApp, Viewer. I don't think I am. But how many years does a master's degree require? A master's is 1 to 2 years, depending on which master's you do. So you must do it within 1 or 2 years. Oh, another thing about being an academic is that you eventually have to do your doctorate, LLD or PhD. I am in the process of doing that now so that we could become Dr. Mang Mang. So that is something we have to do. We also have to publish academic articles, at least 1 a year, in journals. Those are the things you guys use when you're doing your research. We have to publish there. So that's part of our work as lecturers. And then of course, teaching. Most of us teach 1 module per semester. I kind of do 2. So it's a bit, yeah, it just depends on what you end up doing. So that's something about the work that you should probably know. I think how did I manage to deal with pressure? I pray a lot. Look, I know maybe some of you guys are not Christians, but I'll be honest, I'm a Christian and I rely very heavily on my faith to survive. I really do think I would be dead by now. And so I rely very heavily on my faith to keep me going. And that is how I deal with pressure. But I suppose, again, everybody has to find their own healthy coping mechanisms. Did you get masters and everything, even if you went to the bar? Yeah, you can still do a master's. You can do a doctorate. Even if you're at the bar or as an attorney, you can still pursue academic life. You know, you can still do a master's degree, a doctorate, all of that. Concord researcher requirements, LLB. They want LLB. Different judges want different things. So some judges might insist that you're an admitted attorney, others not. All of them want an LLB. Some judges might value high marks, others don't. So each judge chooses their clerks, right? So, and they shortlist for themselves who they want to interview. So everybody's requirements are different, but you've got to have an LLB at least. Amen, amen. Tuleletu. Am I done, guys? Mulate, am I done? I don't see any other questions.
There's a 1 question coming.
Doctorate, no, whoa. So the LLB is a requirement for assistant lecturer. LLM is a requirement for lecturer. Doctorate is what we do to eventually become senior lecturers and professors. So I don't have a doctorate right now. I'm working on my doctorate, but you have to be working on your doctorate as a lecturer. I hope that clears it up. Perfect. Are we together, guys? Can a lecturer law modules, BA, for instance, ILS, because, what are you saying, Mulate?
I mean, can one lecture law modules with a BA degree, for instance, legal studies?
No,
because
no. Have to be an LL, has to have an LLB. But you can lecture in the humanities with a BA, in the other faculty, just not here by us. Doctorate degree, does it automatically allow one to be in practice? No, it does not allow you to be in practice without doing articles, having a doctorate. These are 2 parallel systems. You must still do your articles. You cannot avoid your articles if you want to practice law or pupillage.
So, can you please explain how does law clinic work in particular?
Okay, law clinic, guys, happens in your 4th year, and that is when you go once a week to law clinic and you actually work on cases with the principal attorneys at the clinic. You do research, you go to courts, you do everything that an article clerk would do, basically, that you're allowed to do within the law. So I would say it's a year-long job shadowing, but it's very intense. We have one of the best law clinics in the country. So it's a very important module that you all have to do. There's one doing articles. Doing articles is not the same as volunteering. You must be paid for your articles. Okay? VAC work you can do on a volunteer basis. VAC work, that is during your LLB. Whilst you're still studying, you can do VAC work, okay? And you can do that for free, or some firms do pay. Most firms pay these days. BA, will this be in my third year? No, even if you're doing BA, your law clinic is right at the end. So it'll be your 5th year. I hope I'm helping.
Okay, seems like we have run out of time. So I guess we'll finish here. And then most important, I think we covered everything on the list so far.
Kandi, those last week, what did they do? Why are there so many questions here? Oh, guys.
It appears most of the
Having
people who
me.
attended today didn't attend last week.
Oh, I see. I see.
That might be one of the reasons.
I hope I helped everyone. Good luck with the exams. Nail it. Study hard. Get off of Facebook and Instagram and push yourself. Okay, am I done? Can I log out?
Yes, we really thank you for your time. And then we hope
No.
to meet again with another session. I don't know what it will be about, but very soon.
Appreciate you, ma'am.
I'm happy to come again. I'm happy to come again.
You are always welcome. Thank you very much.
Have a good
Yeah.
have a good evening, guys. Cheers, cheers.
Bye.
Bye.